Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind Friday session. I am the co-founder of this group, the founder of Win by Noon, Todd Bookspan. On behalf of myself and my good friend and yours, Dave Savage, we are always excited to have you here to mastermind on a Friday, whether you're watching this live or on YouTube. Thank you very much. I am running solo today, so I always cherish the opportunity, and it's going to be an easy conversation because it's with an old friend. And I could tell you, back when I first started Win by Noon, one of my first speaking opportunities was in some small place in Indiana. Glenn probably remembers where it is. My geography's not that good, but I was able to get off a plane in the middle of the night. It was like -5 degrees in the snow. Flew in from Arizona where it was probably still 90 degrees. And I got to present ahead of a guy, two legends, actually. One was none other than Coach Bobby Knight. And then the other legend that got on stage and just blew me away was none other than Glenn Bill. And I just love everything that Glenn has brought to the industry from the real estate side, but he takes what he knows and teaches in the real estate side and brings it over to us in the mortgage side to try to make us look smarter, look brighter to our real estate partners. And when you talk about someone with a positive attitude, because he's got that word over his left shoulder, there's no one else that I'd rather be hanging out with today than Glenn Bill, because ultimately he's going to help you add more value to your real estate partners, and he's going to add more value to you, because I think we're heading into the final part of the year and you all need to be fired up. And I'm excited to have Glenn here to fire me up, fire you up. Welcome, Glenn Bill.
Hey, Todd, it's great to be here, Mortgage Coach friends. It's been a while, maybe a year or two, since I've been able to speak with you all. So it's an honor to be able to address you. Hopefully, we'll give you the best hour of content you've had all week. And I know today we're going to be covering the five enemies of success. And I'm not sure you're going to hear much new from me, but as I always like to say, I don't want you to say, yes, Glenn, I know all this. The question you should be asking yourself on this call is, how good am I at the topics that Todd and I are going to bring to you today? And as I'm sure you all know, as I'm sure you all feel, um, it originators, the ones that are failing faster, and the ones that are succeeding are actually succeeding faster. And we always want to stay positive and give you the good news, but what I want you guys and what I want us to focus on is, what are those limiting beliefs? What are those enemies of success that are maybe pulling you back, keeping you down, crushing your vitality and excitement for this wonderful thing called the loan origination business? So, with that, I'll turn it back to Todd, and we can take the conversation, Todd, wherever you want it to.
I love that you said people are failing faster. I didn't love that part of it, but I love the fact that people are succeeding faster. And, I do think that, there's not a whole lot new out there. I was just at Sales Mastery for a couple days in Dallas, Texas, hanging out with lots of my amazing mortgage friends. And it was a really good event. And yes, there were some new ideas. I never want to say that's the case, but what I saw was some amazing loan originators on stage who talked about doing the things that they've always done better. As Dave always says, level 5 of that is, do your results prove it? So I love anytime we can walk through a scale of something. So I love this whole idea of the 5 enemies of success. So let's just jump right in. What's number one?
Cool. So number one is waiting or inaction, right? It's that feeling of entitlement that guys that have been in the business as long as us. I'm starting my 37th year in the brokerage business, and as I talk with successful brokers and loan originators who are at the top of their game, feeling like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm kind of losing my way. And I don't understand why I'm not hitting the numbers that quite possibly I used to. New wonderful tools that are out there, especially social. And I'm not here to bash social or AI or anything, but the past legends in the business, or our business leaders, at least in our local market, we find that they have become paralyzed because the business is moving so fast, the technology is moving so fast, and old dogs don't necessarily like to learn new tricks. And what I found is instead of doing what they've always done, Todd, to your point earlier, I'm seeing seasoned mortgage brokers and real estate brokers become immobilized and become stagnant and have a mindset that is like, well, I'm going to wait for rates to drop like they were when a monkey could do a loan or sell a house. And so the question for the group really is, uh, do you feel like you have been waiting? Do you feel like you have been stagnant? Do you feel like you're mired in inaction? And then, obviously, what's the key to get out of that feeling? So the number one enemy of success that I'm seeing today is the brokers who are out there that are waiting. What do they say? There's three types of people: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that say, "What the hell just?" So, what you guys do with Mortgage Coach, with all the content you put out, with all the great interviews, you guys constantly are focusing on action. That's why this is so important to be here. But the thing that, I want to focus on, or we could discuss with enemies number one, is who feels they're in action. If you're in the chat or you want to, I'd love to know, what are you waiting for? Or what haven't you done that you know you should be doing? So many of us know what to do, but the question is, why don't we do what we know we should do? And that ultimate answer is because we think that it's too painful to go ahead and do it, when it actually needs to become too painful not to do it. So identifying the things that I am not doing and linking and associating pain to not checking those off the list, that's one great way to beat this feeling of being stagnant or inactive, and understanding that, yeah, we do need to make accomplishments. So many of us want to create that video or that social post, um, or the TikTok video where they can instantly see, hey, look at all these people looking at me, right? But that's really the wrong thing, I think, to be focusing on. Sometimes it's as simple as doing the small thing as picking up the phone and calling one of your past clients that maybe 8 years ago you did a loan with, and just as much time, but it quite possibly could have a 10x impact on a person's activity.
Yeah, I always think the easiest action to take is imperfect action, right? I feel like perfectionism is a challenge, at least for me. I used to joke because I'm no longer in my I had this drawer down to my bottom left, and I always said it was just full of millions of dollars worth of ideas that I just never launched. Some of them got 80, 90% or more done. I just never launched them because they weren't perfect. And I feel like everybody knows activity leads to results, and it's so easy. We it's so easy to know what to do, but we fail to do it. I think we fear rejection a lot, Bill. I don't know, or Glenn. Glenn, I called you Bill. I
It
don't know if that's what
happens.
you. I don't know if that's what you think or not. But I love you say calling a client, because a client's an easy call to make, right? We fear rejection, so I always find that I'll make a few calls where I get rejected or get voicemails, and then I just make the easy layup call, and then that gives me some excitement, right? The person who was excited to hear from me, who I knew, has answered the phone every year when I've called for the last 20 plus years, smiling face on the other end to get him to go. And so I think it's this inaction because we're just stuck. And for whatever reason you're stuck, I mean, think through what Glenn just said, and make sure I mean, I certainly don't want to be the person who said, what the hell just happened, guy. But I think a lot of people are seeing that. And it's amazing to see these, as Dave would call them now, uncommon LOs, right? So if you're not following Uncommon LO on Instagram and TikTok, that's Dave's new baby that he's raising to help you guys with some short form content. But the uncommon LO is winning in this market.
And what I'd love to see, it looks like we got some good stuff in chat, but for those that are watching, I would love to know, and you know it. I'm just going to ask you, what do you know you should have done yesterday that you did not do? Or what do you know you should do today or right now that you're talking yourself out of right now? And sometimes just to simply put that thought in chat will actually propel you to take that action. So please, if you're following along, um, look at you are not alone. The same thing that you're is causing you inaction or the same activity that you're not doing. My guess is half the people that are watching us right now have the same thing. So we love to see that in chat, and certainly if you want to ask questions or if somebody wants to ask a question in a chat for my advice on how to overcome that, I'm happy to address that. So I see a few people that are coming in, and um, and I'm happy to address those, but I'll throw it back
Yeah,
to you. And you
we got a good one here from Frank. He says he needs to find extra agents that vibe with each other. I need to make those calls, but feels like when I call them, most know me, but the challenge comes to how they get to re-engage with me versus the competition down the street.
very, very good. Very simple answer, Frank. Um, what I believe and how I built my business, which was a pretty sizable brokerage business, is I have a I have a how to sell 52 homes a year for real estate agents. And it gets down to doing business with people you like. People want to do business with people they like more than the most competent person. Believe it or not, I just bought a double a month ago. I had two rates. One was 6.5, one was 7. Clearly, I should have taken the 6.5% rate. I figured how much more it was going to cost me to take the 7% rate. But the lender, I ended up taking the 7% rate. Why? Because the lender had the ability to approve my loan on the spot. It was a small bank. So I knew that would ultimately save me time. But I felt like the future benefits of choosing this LO over this LO were clearly different actions, has put money in my pocket. So although we are being commoditized daily, I liked the other LO better who had the higher rate. Now, Frank, why did I tell you that story? Frank, you have interests, you have hobbies, you have community involvement that you love. For me, I coached football for 25 years. And so ultimately, let's just use that example. If I were you, and Frank, if you want to tell me what your community involvement is, or what your interests are, or what your hobbies are, um, you need to find extra agents who are a lot like you. You need to find agents who are hanging out at the same ballparks, the same bars, the same meetings, the same chat rooms that are interested in what you're interested in. Hell, it could be gardening. It could be flipping homes. It could be athletics. It could be politics. There is a group of like-minded people with the same interests as you. And so going out and finding agents randomly is not near as effective as working, morals, philosophies, and interests. And what you will find, those extra agents, they're going to want to use you because of you, not because of your loan program. So to find extra agents, that would be the first place I look. Where are the agents that you appreciate? Go find them, give value to that group. And that's a real easy, positive, non-pushy way to attract those agents.
Well, we have a cheat too. I mean, Facebook is a cheat, right? Most agents are still on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere, and they're telling you what they're doing. And so even even if you don't know about what it is they're doing, it's such an easy thing to be curious, right? We talk about that a lot. Deborah Bird and I, and our exactly what to say trainings that we do is that, curiosity is the fuel to great conversations. And so if you can look at social media ahead of that and realize that this person, just went on a trip to Portugal. I mean, that's an easy conversation to have. Holy smokes, I noticed you went to Portugal. Like, tell me, like, where did you go? Like, it's super easy. And then they say, oh, I went to the Douro Valley. Oh my gosh, well, what's cool about the Douro Valley? And then they're going to say, well, I went to some wineries. Oh, you like wine. And I know nothing about wine personally, but if you do, then you can ask questions and sound smart about wine, but figure out what it is you have in common. And then you can be like, oh my gosh, I'd love to meet up for a glass of wine. Like, I heard they got a great, whatever that kind of wine was, a Pinot over at, Bob's Wine Bar, and hey, any chance you can get together with me this weekend and make these opportunities for yourself by understanding them. But we can learn so much about people with a little bit of social stalking.
That's true. And Frank was good enough to speak to the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, all that. And really, there's an opportunity to do a 5-minute mortgage minute in front of those people. It's the philosophy, why prospect one-on-one when I can prospect one on 40 or one on 20? I don't know how big your Kiwanis meetings are, but Kiwanis is awful. The high school baseball team is absolute gold because I was a high school coach and providing value to the high school team. Oftentimes, what I've found, I own a retail food place. It's called Wing Zone. And I buy 200 wings at a time. I go talk to the head coach, say, hey, I'm going to set up a little display of food for the boys when they get off the field. Nothing is better than feeding kids. Their parents appreciate it. They don't have to cook dinner. So there's a million ways, obviously, to support that high school baseball team. But my guess, and I'm pretty sure of this, is that you probably have 1 to 5 sets of parents in that whole baseball team organization that are real estate brokers. So to go in there and find them and to talk about that team, trust me, they will always want to talk to you about their kids and that team. Love of music. Certainly, the availability, there's probably bars and clubs in your marketplace to go and to those bar owners or club owners and say, hey, who do you have playing this week? If there's live music in your market, tell them you'd like to sponsor. Maybe create a deal where, look, I'll buy you the first beer, first beer. And that if you came in and responded to our social post to come look at the live music, I'll go ahead and buy you your first beer. Now, what I always did with the bar owners is I told them, whatever that tab is, you're going to split it with me because I'm filling your bar. And surprisingly enough, a lot of times they would. So again, nothing about mortgage, but just those 3 ideas, Frank, I'm sure are going to get you in front of more agents and get that group of agents that you want. So that's awesome. And thanks for letting us walk through that with you.
I
That's
love it.
being active. That's not waiting around. That's not being stuck in inaction. That's going out and doing stuff that you love to do anyway to attract business.
Well, and it's also interesting too, my first big relationship with a real estate agent when I got into the mortgage business was a buddy of mine. So it made it easy because he was a friend and he was owned a property management company. So we would go work at the ASREA, the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. So we would go do business things together too, because we were both looking for clients there. I was looking for people who wanted to buy houses and turn them into rentals, and he was looking for people who had rentals and wanted a property manager. And so there's just so many opportunities. I love it. Michael said that he played in a basketball league at a church for 12 years and has gotten business from the other agents who were there when he went there. And so it's, I think it's just trying to find people that are out there. But it goes back to this thing that you said, the number one reason, the number one enemy is waiting or inaction. And so I just think it's that thing where, it's old school for me. Communication right now, we know it's social, right? I got to say DMs are a thing, right? Deborah's here. She'd be telling you that, right? Text. Yeah, not as good. I think phone calls. And then, there are some opportunities to email. I've been sharpened by Jeremy Forcier. He just forwarded me some success emails he's had with emails back and forth with agents. And I would have said, that's probably not that effective, but Jeremy's proved me wrong. All right, so let's talk. What's number 2 in the 5 enemies of success?
Right. So number 2, which you'll find in this little book, The ABCs of Attitude, not to self-promote, but there's a chapter in there called The Secret is Effort. So this is a little bit like waiting, but it's the secret is effort, but the secret enemy is the lack thereof the effort. And so really understanding and asking yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how much effort am I putting into this business? I love the idea of having what we call an effort plan. So people call them what? To-do lists, people call them goals. I call it the effort plan. Effort really occurs when you are, well, that you feel you don't really like doing, i.e., making those calls, right, to brokers. So it's the lack of effort, but it's really identifying what don't I like doing in this thing we call the mortgage business. And really trying to come up with 5 or 10 things where you go, yeah, I'm shying away from these activities, and then overcoming that hesitancy with this thing called effort. Some people call it discipline. Do you have the discipline to do the things that you need to do in order to be successful? Again, most people know what to do, but they don't do them. And I will say it again because I mean, this really changed my life. The key to success, the key to discipline is making it so painful not to do the things that you know you should be doing, or that, yeah, to make it not doing it, doing it. So, the secret is effort. The question is you got to identify what am I not doing? What don't I like? Well, but what do most people do? They just stick their blinders on and they say, I'm just not going to, say la vie, so let it be. So that's a big one to me, is identifying what those are and then having the ability to accomplish those activities or challenges on a daily basis. And a lot of times I would give myself a 15-minute time frame. Look, at most activities we do only take 4 to 5 minutes. And so if you just say this is going to be my effort hour, I've had people do effort hours. I do 15-minute what I call effort huddles, and that's what we focus on with all of our salespeople. I know what my salespeople do not want to do, and I say let's work on that 15 minutes a day, and you'll be amazed at the trajectory your success will take off once you start doing that.
Well, when once you have traction, right? 15 minutes turns into 20 and 20 turns into 30 and 30 turns into 60. And it's the whole philosophy behind my success I had with Win by Noon. I didn't realize it when I was doing it, but I just was eating the frog. I got up, I did what I knew had to be done, which was make calls, follow up with people, do all the things that I told people I did consistently that I was probably doing inconsistently, and grew my business in a flat interest rate market, a flat real estate market, 45% in 1 year by just doing those things. First things first. I block my calendar 8:30 to 11:30. Win by Noon is a lot more sexy than Win by 11:30. And it proved to be successful. And when I started coaching and coaching other people on identifying what are those priorities and then making sure that we're proactive in doing them first before we react to those unimportant things. I tend to find when people are waiting and having inaction, right? When people are lacking the effort and they don't have the clearly defined activities, you're just trying to put off what you know you have to do. You're looking for something else that's less important to do to distract you from those super important things. And so I like your idea of a 15-minute effort burst, right? It's that little Pringle, right? You can't reach your hand into a can of Pringles and eat one of those potato chips. You're going to eat more. So if you can just get that little 15-minute nugget done, then you're going to continue to do more. There's a great book out there by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's called Willpower Doesn't Work. And he said you just have to you have to put those, you nailed it with the human blinders, right? You have to have your blinders on to get stuff done. And it's kind of what I love about Club 44, my little attic here I'm working in now in California, because I don't have anything around me to distract me, right? In my old office, I had all sorts of stuff to distract me. And here, it's just not here. It's physically over there. I can't get to it to distract me. It's pretty sparse up here. And so when I get up here to work, guess what? I just work.
Good. I'd love to know in the chat if you guys are open to it. Just type in the number of years you've been in the business.
Mm.
whether it's 1 year, 20 years, whatever it is. Um, what I found is the older and the longer that we get into the business, the easier it is to talk ourselves into, hey, yeah, I know I've identified what I don't like to do. I've certainly, no, oh, good. We got a lot of 20s and 30s, so I know I'm speaking to you people. There is no doubt about this. I've done it too. And we're so good at selling because we've been doing this for so long. We can talk ourselves into anything, and we can certainly talk ourselves out of anything as well. So for all my yeah, this is awesome. Look at all these people. We got a great seasoned group here. I think we're all kind of speaking the same language for sure. Um, but be guarded because us veterans in this business, we're our biggest asset, but we're also really our biggest enemy because we know how to talk ourselves out of not doing what we need to do. And that's what the effort's all about. So thank you guys so much for the response on that. Love to see the old dogs willing to learn. Yeah, and willing to learn is as an old dog is even more important. So that's awesome. Thank you guys for putting that in the chat. So all right, we're at number two. Should we try number three?
Well, let's not try, let's do.
Let's do. So I got this from the Colts coach who came down with cancer. I think you probably even remember the video, Todd, from one of the times that I spoke. But he gets into, are you living in your circumstances or are you living in your vision? And look at we all have circumstances right now. Yeah, we have higher rates, we have AI, we have ever moving targets and goals. We have this whole new way to market through quote unquote social media. And we can get caught up in living in our circumstances. I'm sure that if you guys want to throw in the chat, I would love to know what circumstance are you focusing on right now? Most people will say higher rates. You talk to mortgage folks, and I train mortgage folks all over the country, and it's the rates, it's the rates, it's the rates. And if you're a rate focused mortgage LO, and you guys know it's not about the rate, but you know what? You end up focusing on it. So the challenge for you today is what are you focused on most in your circumstance, and do you have a clear vision? The old saying is, without a vision, the people will perish. And we simply spend more time focusing on maybe it's a difficult buyer. Maybe it's a difficult real estate broker. Maybe it's a difficult deal. Maybe it's an unreasonable customer. And man, when we focus and focus and focus on them and don't keep our eye on our vision, on your vision, I'd love to know if you have a vision. I'd love you to type it in just so we know where you're coming from. That is one of the biggest mistakes or enemies. Uh, very, very tough to do the big numbers, to grow your business, to scale when you're sitting there looking, just at the circumstances that you live in.
Yeah, I think vision is such a magnet, right? It pulls you when you've got a strong vision. And so, for me, that's where I kind of had that breakthrough when I remembered what my vision was. And then I took the time to look at what were the circumstances that were getting me stuck, right? I had written a vision out with my coach that I was going to be $100 million producer. And I was doing $80 million a year, 400 loans, 3 straight years. I mean, it was a pretty good income. I was considered pretty successful in the mortgage business, but I wasn't fulfilled because I thought I could do more. And when I went back and I looked at my vision and I said, well, what can I do differently and what is getting in my way? That's when I blocked my calendar, made everyone around me mad because they were used to being able to schedule things when it was easy and important for them. And I said, no, actually, I'm taking control of my most productive time. Because ultimately what happened is I was just as productive in the later day, but I just never got back to those activities because I was so busy like a ping pong ball bouncing back and forth between other people's priorities. And so I think you have to really spend some time on that and figure out what you can do, vision wise. If you go to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, we probably have some interviews with Daniel Harkavy and Michael Regan from Building Champions talking about vision. Those are the folks who brought me through it back in the day, and they're just really, really good at having a process around that. And I love that you got kind of people stuck in their circumstances, because I think that's what you believe. I mean, I see a great question here um, from Michael, where he's just talking about it's how difficult it is to get real estate agents on the phone. And that is a circumstance a lot of us are stuck in. And I think, there's probably a mindset flip of, gosh, you know what, it's actually easy for me to get real estate agents on the phone. And then what would that look like? What do you think, as a real estate agent yourself, Bill, and someone who coaches thousands of agents over the years, what do you think is a way to get more agents to pick up the phone when you as a loan officer call them?
Sure. So I think a really good go where the real estate agents are, and you have to deliver value. Now, we've done this before. The definition of value is what I do for a customer on behalf of the customer before I even is what are you doing for realtors on behalf of realtors before the phone call is made? The answer is not enough, for sure. You're not. If you're providing value to your marketplace, whether it's through social, whether it's through clubs, whether it's through going to divisional meetings, whether it is providing training for real estate agents, you know, providing training, as simple as that sounds, it's not easy. You got to get the venue, and it doesn't even need to be a big venue. But you got to get the agents there. You got to have a captivating hook. What do agents want to learn? So the reason agents aren't picking up your phone call is, number one, they don't know you. Number two, if you're cold calling, they know that you're not necessarily interested in them. Number three, you don't know anything about me. So back to your point of making sure that you have a bio, or you have two or three key points that you really understand what that agent's doing, then that will help them pick up the phone. The great thing is, and we've talked about the four different levels of agents, and you have to have four different approaches for each type. What I would tell you to go after, they're all over. You know what they're doing, you know what they're involved in, and you can help them. When I go out to prospect, my first question is, I was just with a major commercial developer, and I just asked him the simple question, hey, you know what? I'm here to help you. So let me know what I can do to help you. What wasn't about me at all. And he looked at me and he goes, Matt, no one's ever asked me that question before. That is a golden question. And in my purchase mentality training, we talk about how to get that response. When I do my podcast, you're going to hear lots of people go, oh my gosh, Glenn, nobody's ever asked me that before. So, how do agents pick up the phone? Well, because they want to pick up the phone, and that's because you've delivered value first. So that, I don't think you were talking about a cold call, but when you help, always pick up the phone. Why? Because they know there's going to be a benefit to that. So when I said that, it would really help if he actually has a new, I think they're called Alamo Cinemas. It's a franchise with beer and liquor and games. I mean, it's movie theaters on steroids. And he goes, I need to have more people come through, and we need to create awareness. Can you help me create that awareness? Of course, I can help you create the awareness. Or answer my call every single time? Yeah. Why? Because he knows that my MO is to get people into his thing. Well, we talked. And I said, well, why don't we just do a big realtor meeting and we'll do it at the Alamo and we'll get some buses and we'll put them on. And this guy bought one of the largest shopping centers. Hey, I know a lot of agents, agents know agents, and we framed it here. Hey, there's a redevelopment that's going on. You should know about it if you're selling homes in this area. We got some appetizers and some cold beers. We're going to take a trip around all the new. Well, the next thing we know, we had 60 sign up, all because I asked him to help. Now, who do you think he's going to end up doing business with? Because I'm the only guy that asked what I could help. So, that's the mentality I think it takes to get agents to answer the phone. They're not going to answer your phone if it's the first call and you're cold. Very rarely will they answer and understand where are these people going to be. And then they don't need to pick up the phone, you just run into them.
Yeah, I would be remiss since Deborah's not here if I didn't plug our exactly what to say virtual certification we're going to be doing in the first week of December, right? You all know we've had Phil Jones on here. He just helped us with our Scriptapalooza. If you haven't watched that, the number of comments I got on it when I was at Sales Mastery was off the charts. People really loved it. We had 6 amazing producers on there, and Phil sharpened all of them, right? They were open to feedback on there. And Deborah and I have been doing for almost 3 years now our exactly what to say certification live in person. And everyone has always said, hey, if you just bring it to Chicago on there, you bring it to Florida, I'm going to show up. But guess what? We're bringing it to you virtually. We spent some time with Phil to design what it would look like over 3 half days instead of 2 full days, and really are excited to do it. We're just over half sold out. The price is half of what it would be to come to a live certification. So we've also tried to help out there just because a lot of you are there. But one of the things that we spend a ton of times after we spend time on the really how communication works, right? The 4 cornerstones of communication. I already mentioned one, right? Curiosity is the fuel to great conversations, how to be better at asking questions. One of the areas that we really focus on are these rejection-free openers of fills. We spend so much time digging in on those, how to use them, how to role play it. We make you role play it. So you're going to have to show up and be ready to interact. But that's really been fun. It was fun to see all these speakers on stage at Sales Mastery who've been through our live certification. And so you have an opportunity now to come hang out with us online. So I'll throw it in here, just EWTS for exactly what to say with toddanddeb.com. Now that bothers me a lot, just so you know, because I would have made it EWTS with Deb and Todd, but Deborah did it. She made it toddanddeb.com. So just head over there and you can get on the wait list if you're not quite ready to commit, but I can't promise you'll get in if you're on there. We already have some people on there who are trying to figure out if they can squeeze in the time and the money, or just sign up and be ready to go. But I'll throw it into chat here in a sec. And just know that it's a really great opportunity to figure out how to improve your communication so that when you finally do get this person on the phone, how to keep them on the phone, and then how to make that connection that Glenn is talking about. And if you got questions on it, just DM me or Deb. We'd love to jump on a quick call and chat with you about it. But it's really the thing that we really enjoy doing the most. So we would love to have you hang out with us in a small group for a couple of half days in December.
And Todd, I've watched Scriptapalooza and seen exactly what to say. I think I'm in there. I'm a big let's get right to the heart of the matter. And as far as I can tell, I don't need all the fluff. It's all good. I just want to know what the hell to say. I just love what you guys do because as far as impact for time of investment, exactly what to say is I just in my miles ahead of a lot of the other training that's out there, because that's most of the problem. And Brian Buffini will tell you it's not that we don't know what probably should be doing that because we do a lot of that. So kudos to you and Deb for that. Great investment of your time, and it's a high return on your investment.
No, I appreciate the kind words because we know everyone wants scripts, right? I just talked about Scriptapalooza, but it's difficult to squeeze a script into a real conversation. but it's really easy to squeeze in a magic word or phrase. And the book is great, right? You can buy the book, it's under 20 bucks, and there's, millions of people that bought it. And just buying the book is going to make you a better communicator because you're gonna have these things that are going to become part of your normal conversations. But what we do in the training is we go through the workbook, which is 32 magic words and phrases instead of 23 in a specific order. And so it's such a fun experience. And I love that you talked about, again, well, first off, you're still helping the Alamo guy because you're helping him with the. I've been to his theater in Arizona, so one is you're plugging him here, so you're helping people realize, hey, that's a great place to do events. I think inviting people to events is a great strategy. I do know, Bill, real quick too, that you talked about your purchase mentality that you go out there and teach. What are some of the other things that people can bring you into their market to teach? Because I think anytime you can invite someone to an event, and realtors would love to come see Glenn speak. What else are you talking about these days?
Well, so, I have two different trainings. I have loan originator training, which is purchase and the mind of a real estate broker, how to become irresistible to call real estate brokers, how to get real estate brokers in that actually call on you. And I always love to ask the question, how many people are calling you to do business? That answer is not enough. And the reason that answer is not enough is because you're not giving enough value. And we all just define that. What are you doing for the realtors on behalf of the realtors before you ask for business? What are you really doing? What is your value strategy? And so we help mortgage originators create a value strategy that attracts brokers. We break brokers down into newbies, which are basically 0 to 12 transactions. Then we have what we call the emerging, which is basically 12 to 24 transactions. Then we have what we call the quote unquote producers, which is 24 to 36 transactions. And then we have big teams and big producers, which are 36 transactions, which we just talked a little bit about, targeting the people that are like you with the same interests. So you're doing business with how to approach real estate agents. What's the right approach in order to engage a real estate agent? Then we teach LOs how to continue engagement and offer value in step 3. And then step 4 is how to close the agent for a long-term relationship. So that's really what purchase mentality is. It has a lot of the psychology of your crazy customers called real estate agents. I am one. I think, never discounting the best of the loan originators ever, but I always think the best training comes from that. I feel purchase loan mentality is such a great program, is it's coming directly from a real estate agent saying, this is what we want, this is who we are. And I think the more you can understand the culture of a real estate broker, the better you are. And that's what it's all about. It's a lot of fun. We make a lot of fun of realtors, which is always awesome. And we try to make your business fun again. And then on the real estate side, what we do is source of sales training. It's a 10-hour program, but we've done it half day, full day, and a day and a half for the full program. And it's an event that I work instant credibility and value play. You now actually have value to go into an office and say, hey, trainer in the building coming here, let's go do that. We talk about how to have a sales manager forum, the most influential and most important people in any market in the real managers. Real estate sales managers are gold. Sometimes they're conflicted because they have in-house mortgage companies, yada yada. But look, at in-house mortgage companies don't get every deal. And if you are not best friends with every sales manager and every office in your marketplace, you're missing low-hanging fruit and a ton of money. So we merge those. I at night. We have a whole process that is based on value for each other. The event is a ROI for anybody that comes, and most importantly, our goal is to get 100 to 200 brokers in a room for a day with your loan originators. And then we have a process where we engage those agents. We put them in one of the four things, and then I have trainings for each one of those four levels that you can do ongoing with them. And let's just say you did that. You grabbed three key agents in each one of those stages. That's 12 new relationships where you're helping them sell more real estate. So that's what we do on the road.
I love that. I love that. There's just no better way. And what I remember about that time where we both spoke, on the same stage was just the amount of energy you brought. Right. I just love that piece of it because I think the room, like most conferences after lunch, were half asleep, and you woke everyone up and got them out of their chairs in about 30 seconds. So, all right, we're in the final quarter of the year and the final quarter of this call, so we better knock out these last two enemies of success. And I think it's really key. I've been circling these words: waiting, inaction, effort, discipline, circumstances, vision. So I can't wait to hear what's number four.
So number four is a real issue. I think it possibly maybe one of the biggest one, and that is truly focusing on yourself rather than focusing on others. And this comes from that service mentality. And this really comes into beliefs. What are you believing about yourself? And are you walking around, I've done it, people, I've done it, I've been successful, but I'll fall into a week or two where I'm going, God, I just lost that sale. I just lost that buyer. I didn't get that listing. This isn't fair. Poor me, poor me. Focusing on yourself will drown you. And that really comes into what you're believing. And so my challenge to you on number four is, are you focusing on your circumstances, and are you only focusing on yourself? Because where your focus goes, energy flows. That's an old saying that people know. And this really comes into, what are you believing about your success? Great thing is you get to pick what you believe, which is all attitude. You get to pick your attitude, you get to pick your thought process. And, some of your beliefs will make you weaker. Some of your beliefs will make you stronger. Some of your beliefs will make you happy. And some of your beliefs will make. Challenge is that everyone gets to pick and make up what they believe. The problem is human nature. When you choose to focus on yourself, um, it just leads you to pain because it's all self-absorbed. We talk about, why people commit suicide. I did a podcast this month, and suicidal thoughts and tendencies come from people with overwhelming self-introspection, and it becomes all about them. Nothing can get in, nothing can go out. And this is truly the reason that people feel desperate and they feel alone. When you focus on yourself, it's a very, very lonely place. And if you're in the sales game, I always say sales is a contact sport. And if you become self-absorbed in your circumstance, in your misery, in your negative feelings, that will not be good for you. So that's number four. And it takes some real honesty. It takes some real courage to go. And like I say, I've been there. When I see my production slip, or when I see I'm off track, I get inside my brain and I'm like, man, I've been focusing on myself an awful lot. Because why? It takes a lot of energy to go out and focus on others. It takes a lot of energy to go out and give the effort when you're not sure you're going to get when you're not sure you're going to get paid for it, right? Effort is defined, or can be defined, you need to do without knowing you're going to get a result. That's really what risk and what effort is. And why do people not do what they want to do? That's another reason. Well, I'm not going to get instant gratification. I'm not sure this is going to work. A check for $10,000 to put a billboard up in your market. You don't know what that's going to produce. So, what aren't you doing because you're not certain of the results? Sometimes you have to invest and you have to focus on others, focus on the outcome, focus on that vision. When you become so me, at the end of the year. And that's when I talk to most brokers, real estate and or mortgage, when I talk to them about why they don't feel they're succeeding, what I find is they're incredibly focused on themselves and not on others.
Yeah, I think it's like those things. I think probably a lot of our mothers always told us, right? When we're feeling down about ourselves, go out and make someone else smile, right? And I think there's such an opportunity there. All right, let's knock out number 5, and then let's sum up this call for people so we can get them to go out there and take some action.
Possibly, I say this on every one. I think we got a lot of loan originators and real estate agents that just lack the fire in the belly.
Mm.
They're uh, so worried about everything else. They're chasing the bells and whistles. They're demotivated. And when you're demotivated and apathetic and have no energy and you have no vitality, guess what? Nobody wants to do business with you. You are not going to attract anyone with that type of energy. So it's like, okay, well, how do I create fire in the belly? Well, there's a million different ways to create motivation for you. One is obviously focusing on others. Two is spending the money that it takes to get yourself out there and to bet. You need to create that motivation and that fire in the belly. Everybody that starts in real estate and loans, they all got the fire in the belly. But those of us, and there's a lot of us that have done this 30 plus years on this call, we're probably comfortable. We probably got money in the bank and we got investments and we're doing okay. Business with hungry people. But more importantly, hungry people want to do business with hungry people. And I will also tell you, when I was 19 years old when I started in real estate and became the top broker in our 75-man office, simply because I had more fire in my gut than anybody. The experienced top producer, believe it or not, those of us that are 25, 30 years in the business, I'm not afraid to use a new loan originator who comes at me strong, may say everything wrong, but I know that they're not going to be able to make their mortgage payment if my loan doesn't close. I like that. I like that as a broker. So, what I'd love to know, that'll be our last group chat. Thank you, Michael Road. I appreciate it. Um, uh, is on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your fire? Is your fire at 10? Does your fire score slide throughout the day? Yeah, I started at 10 and then I progressively get to a 1 by the time it's cocktail time. Am I able to change my state? And if I am at a 3 and I know I got an appointment coming in 5 minutes, do I have the ability to shift my attitude and energy level so I will become more attractive for the person in front of me? I believe that initiative, that fire in the belly, because of how the world is today, is constantly being suppressed and compressed and depressed. The commoditization of what we do creates less emotion. I'm a big emotion guy, so I know Dave was wanting to talk about. You can type in the same prompts to AI, and I think it levels the playing field. I think you got to create a moat around your castle where you stand because AI just commoditized. Everybody's going to get the same answer if they put in the same prompt. AI is great. I'm not saying that it's not, but the fire in the belly is going to get you more than ChatGPT is. I'm a big fan. I'm not saying don't use it, but I think people are missing the emotional side of the sales business because of tech. And I don't know, I would ask you, I would ask all our people, if you have a relationship with a loan originator and he has done a loan or two for you or your family and you've referred them and there's a real relationship, will a chat bot or will an AI prompt ruin that relationship? I know
That-
when I'm talking to a bot and I know the people that I'm loyal to, and technology is not going to change. Maybe someday in 10, 20 years it might, but that's just my sense, and I encourage you all to be in tune, know, and check in with the fire in your belly at 9 a.m., 12 noon, 3 and 6. And if your fire is burning a little dim, then it's time to change your state and do whatever you need to do. So you're showing up with the energy and vitality, just like Todd. You've seen me on stage. I go crazy. I'm pretty high energy. Because people have
Understatement.
said, "Yeah, Glenn, what you said wasn't that great, but God, we loved your energy." And when I was 19 selling homes, people were doing business with me simply because I made it fun. I had the passion, and hey, if I didn't know the answer, I'll go find it out. But people wanted to be around me because of that. And when I wrote this book, I was getting listing leads and buyer leads because they just wanted to know the guy that wrote the attitude book. So totally disconnected, but it all aligned with my business and my income.
All right, so let's tie a bow on this, everyone. I feel like we started off with this thing that number one enemy was waiting or inaction. So I'm gonna strongly encourage you to take some action when you get off of this conversation today. And number one is it's going to be easy. I'm going to do this alongside you. I'm going to reach out to 10 people. I'm going to text 5 and I'm going to call 5. I'm just going to run a quick text on it. And I'm going to say, oh my gosh, I just heard Glenn Bill, real estate coach superstar, talk about the 5 enemies of success. And the people I texted to, I'm going to say, could it be possible to jump on a 3-minute call for me to tell you what I learned? And I'm going to see what happens, right? And I'm okay if you want to sharpen that up. And then I'm also just going to call people that I know. And here's what I know is there's other people like you, especially those of us who've been in the business for 25 to 30 years. You got a lot of agents that haven't done anything this year, right? They're the ones who fall into all these other things that we talked about, right? They're lacking the effort and the discipline, right? They're struggling here with the circumstances that they're in, right? They lack that vision. And you can have an uncomfortable conversation with them, right? You've I'm impressed. You put in the work today. You've made it through the end of this call or this recording. And it's not comfortable to look at ourselves and realize where we're coming up short. But guess what? You have people who you've done business with for a long time who are in this exact same position. You got an opportunity to call them and talk to them about this. And I would really be interested to see how that goes. Because the bottom line is that we all struggle with what to say. And this is an honest conversation that you can have with yourself and with them and say, gosh, you know what? I feel like I've been struggling with my effort lately, or I feel like I've been struggling with my vision. How are you doing on this? And you're going to have a different conversation than you normally have, where you're just calling them and telling them what the Fed said. Guess what? They figured that out on their own, right? They have the internet as well. And so this is just an opportunity for you to do the things that Glenn talked about as enemies and to make it happen. So we are at 9:59. Glenn is waving goodbye to all of us.
Well, oh no, I wanted to add the other thing. I think the most important question you can ask anyone you call is, I'm just wondering how I can help you.
Yep.
A lot of the people you call are independent business people, contractors. They work for a company, they may own a company. And if they give you a response on how you can help them, value delivery begins and engagement never ceases. And the next phone call will get picked up. So, how can I help you? In my opinion, is one of the most powerful questions you can ask any of those 10 that you're going to call. Sorry, Todd.
No, that was great. What a great way to wrap it up, because I do think I had someone ask me that when I was in Dallas, and it took me back, right? Because no one ever asked me that question. So I think that was a great example you gave us earlier and a great reminder at the end of the call. So, hey, as always, Glenn, thanks for pouring into our community on behalf of myself and my team at Win by Noon, Deborah and her team over at Plug and Play SM, and Dave and the whole Trust Engine team. We're super grateful for you, Glenn. We're super grateful for all of you who made it to the end of this call, and we look forward to seeing you next week. We got the Tuesday 10X Mastermind. We got a great call on Friday as well. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great weekend, everyone, and go out there and take some action.
I like it. Thanks all.